Hi guys! Some of my most popular videos are about henna hair dye and about how I get my red hair, and I get a lot of questions about henna and my hair colour and all those kind of things. So I thought I would do a frequently asked questions so I can just send everyone over to this video if their question has been answered. I'm going to be reading your guys' comments on my henna videos and just answering them here. First question, have I used chemical dyes before, after, during, in between using henna? So have I used chemical hair dye and then henna and then a chemical hair dye, or have I used henna and then a chemical hair dye, or do I mix those things up? The answer is yes. I had a Superdrug colour which I will link in the description below, and I used to use that, and then I started using henna, and then I stopped using henna for a bit because it was really annoying, so I then went back to chemical dyes, but now I'm back on henna, and I've done henna the past few times. So I don't know if you can see, but this whole section of my hair is my natural hair with henna on it. It's got no chemical dyes, but from there down it's a lot lighter because a lot of chemical dyes will have a lightener in it, so it will strip the colour out of the hair follicle and then put new colour in. So that's why from there it's lighter, but from here that's just henna put on top of my natural hair colour. So yes, I have done chemical dye, then henna, then chemical dye. A lot of people say you shouldn't do that, especially if you're using like bleaching or anything that has blonde in it, because that tends to go green. If you have had henna on your hair and you want to change it to a drastically different colour like blonde, I would definitely seek professional help there, because I don't know how that would react. It would probably go a really weird colour. I would usually leave between 4 and 6 weeks before using a different type of dye, so if you're doing henna and then doing chemical dyes, just so that it's sort of mostly washed out of your hair before you start doing extra things to it. I feel like I answered that in a very long-winded way. I've done a couple of henna videos, and in one of the videos I used Lush's henna, and in the other I used Caddy's, which is a powder form, and you guys are asking, is one of them better? I didn't notice any difference apart from the fact one comes in a block and one comes in a powder, and generally it's easier to mix the powder because you don't have to smash up the block, but it really doesn't matter. It's just your preference whether you would rather go into a Lush shop and get it, or whether you would rather order online, whether you care about the block. But the final result, I didn't notice a difference at all. One question I get a lot, and is probably the most asked question, is I have jet black hair, will henna work? Probably not. It will probably coat it in a reddish tone, so in the light you might get a bit of red in there, but it's not a lightener. It's not going to lighten your hair. If anything, it darkens it, because my hair is naturally sort of a sandy blonde, and it's actually darker now than it would be if it was natural. If you do have really dark hair, I'm not sure I would recommend using henna at all, because you would have to lighten it to a lighter colour and then put the henna on it. But as soon as you get root growth, you're going to have to re-lighten the roots, which is usually bleach, and you're not really supposed to mix bleach and henna. Like I said earlier, it could possibly go green. So if I were you, if you really want this hair colour and you've got dark hair, I'd recommend lightening it and then using a chemical dye that makes it this colour. I'll link one in the description below that I used to use, which is exactly the same colour. If you look back at my old videos, that's the colour I used to use. So you can get a very similar result. Next question, do I dye my eyebrows with henna? No, I don't. I lighten them with facial bleach. I have a video on this, so I'll link that in the description if you want to go and see how I do that. And that's all I do, and then I just fill them in. My eyebrows are actually quite dark for a blondish person, so I just lighten them to match my hair. Next question is, how do I achieve black? If you don't know, you can dye your hair black with henna. So you just want to buy the black one, which is also known as indigo, and you treat it in the same way. Another question, do I bleach my roots before application? No, I don't use chemical dyes anymore. I just put henna straight on top, which is why my roots are slightly darker than the rest of my hair. And as I said in one of the other questions, I wouldn't recommend lightening your roots and then putting henna on it, just because mixing lightening products and henna when you've already got henna on your hair, I don't know, I wouldn't recommend it. This question is, how long do I leave it on for? I leave my henna on for from an hour to 2 hours. I think a lot of hennas say a minimum of 30 minutes, but I just leave it on for longer, because that way you're supposed to get a deeper colour. You can leave it on as long as you want. It's not like a normal hair dye where if you leave it on too long it's going to fry your hair. It actually kind of works in a similar way to a conditioner. So you'll find that when you've used henna, your hair will actually be very soft. Next question is, how long does it last, or is it permanent, or how often do you do it? I would say it's permanent because it coats the hair and then you can't really wash it out. but it does fade very naturally. So if you've only done henna once and you leave it to fade out, it will probably fade out quite nicely and it won't be as strong. But if you've used henna over and over and over again, like I have, it just doesn't fade out. So these parts of my hair that have been hennaed a lot and have been dyed this colour a lot don't really change colour. They sort of lighten a bit and go duller, but they don't change colour. I don't go back to blonde or brown. So yeah, it is permanent. How often do I do it? I re-dye my hair sort of every 4 to 6 weeks. So I tend to just see how long I can get away with my roots for, because it's such a messy process. If you want to do henna, just be prepared for the mess because it gets everywhere, but it's so worth it for the colour and what you get for your hair, because it's so much better than chemical dyes. I would just say do it when you feel like you want to and when you feel like your roots, you know, look dodge, or when the colour has faded so much that you want to redo it. The next question is about staining. So when you dye your hair with henna, it's common that you get staining around your hairline. You can actually probably see I might still have some. I don't know, probably. One thing you can do to prevent this is put like Vaseline or lip balm, that kind of thing, around your hairline so that the henna doesn't get onto it. That doesn't really bother me, so I just leave it and whack it on the head as normal, and then I just let it fade off. I'm going to answer one last question, otherwise this video will probably be incredibly long. And that is, when my roots grow out, do I have to do all of my hair or just the roots? I always do all of my hair because the rest of my hair will fade out, and if you do just the roots, you'll probably end up with like very bright, rich red, and then the rest will be a bit dull. So you don't have to do the rest of it, but I'd recommend just doing it anyway. It's not damaging to your hair, it will just even out the colour and make it lovely and rich and red again. So yeah, I always do all my hair. So that is it. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that was helpful. If you have any other questions regarding henna or my hair colour, leave them in the comments below. I will also leave my other videos in the description below that talk about my hair and how I do my hair and my eyebrows and things like that. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe so you get updated when I upload a new video, and follow me on all my social networks, which are listed in the description below. And I shall see you very soon. Thank you very much for watching. I love you guys. Bye! Hi guys, it has been far too long of me being away from this channel and I'm incredibly